Hello, hello, everyone. Hi, Carix. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna eat some granola. I'm having an absolute crash out. Give me this cookies and cream Oreo flavored granola. Oh, then. Alright. I actually got sleep, which is a good thing. So I'm going to try to get through this shit as best as I can. Oh, it looks like Photoshop updated. Edit. Keyboard shortcuts. Expand. Control Shift X. Accept. Flip. Canvas horizontal. Control F. Accept. Okay. Great. Fantastic. Or at least I don't have that many keyboard shortcuts. I would cry. It's better moving so slowly. Oh, God, skirt folds are kind of awful, though. I understand your struggle because, like, it's actually kind of bad. Especially if they're in motion, and especially if it's heavy fabric. All of a sudden, you're just, like, layering like crazy, and it's, like, it's hard. I believe in you, though. Your fabric work is really good. It won't break me. I bet it won't break me down. I bet it don't break me. I bet it don't break me down. I'm gonna try and stay hyper-focused on getting this done here. Okay, so this guy's so small. All right, we'll see what I can even do here. Thank you for that lurk, Cal. I appreciate you. I bet it won't break me down. Actually, I'm gonna have to fill this in here. I bet it don't break me. I bet it don't break me down. Honestly, sometimes that's the right response, Carrix, is to just eat the table. I understand. I understand where you're coming from. That was me yesterday. Me in literally the middle of the night. I don't even know what's going on. Okay, so I just did a pretty easy. Oh, actually, this is gonna go like that. Like that. Old man frog. Actually, this is all dark. This is from the front, so that's gonna go like that. All right. I wonder, God demons, buddy. Ah, Beats of Lover, what's going on? Oh my god, no, some of those ZA donuts look so good, though. Like, especially the ones with the fruit on them. Out of control. It's a relatable mood. I hope you're doing well today. I do also crave the donut. That would be pretty good. I think this guy's too far away to see the demon blue, so I'm not gonna worry about it. We're gonna see if we can get through this page today. Oh, I forgot that I'm gonna have to get her fishnet. Oh god. Yeah, Rococo specifically is so rough because it's like the sheer amount of fabric is absolutely bananas. They were like, 14 layers sounds fun, and it's like, what? Why, guys? They're like luxury, and it's like, oh, okay. I understand, but also, damn. Okay, let's do this. So, it's a mood. It's a mood. Let's see, is this skirt the same color? And the boots are all the same color, yes. Everything is the same color. Wait a second, what am I looking at here? Hello? It's an arm. That's what I'm looking at. Oh, yeah, true. It looks so good. And Cruller donuts in general are just super tasty. They're like one of my favorite kinds. They're all like flaky and stuff. All right, let's get... I'm just gonna kind of, I don't even care if it goes on like this size, then that's what we're working with here. Okay. Crab lady, crab lady. Oh my god, she's so small back there. Also, everybody should hydrate. Today I'm drinking rose water tea. Yeah, honestly, there have been a lot of, like, periods, I think, where people have literally just been as extra as possible, but the Baroque and Rococo art movements are just, like, the most extra for absolutely zero reason. It's funny, because it's also one of the periods in which the wealth gap between poor people in the area and rich people was like one of the biggest in human history. Low-key insanity. I am probably going to have to do this by hand. No joke, pizza lover. Seriously. They're so pretty looking. I like all the little, like, artsy details that they put on them. Like, all the little, like, icing stripes or, like, the little decorations and stuff. It's, like, it's so fun. I haven't touched ZA in a second. I, like, binged it violently until I completed the story, and then I forgot it existed. And now I'm stuck in AC Odyssey. That's what happened to me. And it's terrible, terrible fucking voice acting. I'm not even Greek. If I was Greek, I'd be so offended. Actually, I know that the Greek people are offended. They are upsetty spaghetti. Because the game is that bad. Sweet lord. The gameplay itself is not bad. It's actually I should say the voice acting is bad. Real bad. Yeah, donut making seems really fun. It seems really hard, though. Like, I would be worried that my donuts would be bad. Why did this happen to me? What are the shoes? Oh, they're also dark. There we go. Oh, also, too, I forgot. It looks like this spot. This spot. Oh, and also, too, guess who also didn't erase this out? Yesterday, I was not doing super good. I can definitely say that I was having a bad time. The fact that I did this much work yesterday while my brain was effectively malfunctioning is literally a miracle. But that's okay. We're making it happen. Oops. First of all, I'm gonna have to do that by hand. There's no way. All the jewelry is the same color. All right. Jolly good. Hi, Aqua. How you doing? Hope you're having a nice time. Oh no, so sad. Oh, that is tragic. I'm so sorry. Literally the worst. You're like, headphones, you had one job. Literally one. I like this guy's little tracksuit. I don't know what this guy's deal is. Oh, this blue is not the right blue. Okay, almost there. Okay, so we know that the shirt is going to be... I'm going to try and stick to the same like color palette here. This shirt's going to be a tiger stripe shirt, and Wukong gets to steal this too. And these pants. Yeah. I'm not mad. I ain't Aggie. I don't know. Oh, and this guy actually has black fingernails too, so I gotta paint his fingernails here. Oh my god, we were just talking about Hot Pockets earlier. This song is a vibe. I don't know if I like it necessarily enough to listen to it again, but it is... Is this, Siamese? Who is this? Oh, Glass Animals. I understand. Yeah, I'm trying to give him a wide variety of tiger patterned clothing, effectively so I don't have to keep drawing this bomber jacket over and over and over. But every time he faces this guy, he's going to get a different outfit off of this dude's body. He's also going to steal all these people's money. So that's, you know. Hooray, I guess? Under the surface. No, Aqua, no. Oh, wait. Huh? Can you hear? Are you with us? Also, Cal has redeemed a stretch. Everybody should stretch. I'm also going to take this opportunity to eat more food. I might have to add in a reward that's like feed Tycho. Y'all can feed me like a fucking Tamagotchi. I don't know why, Cal, but I just imagine you being like, do it, in like Emperor Palpatine's voice, like... Yeah, Wukong don't care. Wukong will steal all things. Literally, like, one of the first interactions he had with humans was stealing their stuff. Which I do think is funny. Hi, Agua. How are you? Other than your headphones having a freak out. Just need movement. Something's gotta change. Okay. Oh, and we got an ooh-woo. I'm fine. Become pressing and collected. It's undressing. Well, the conscience is me lacking. But out if we're not asking. It's time to put down the pen on paper. Deal with it right now instead of later. Watching the blowout from the bleachers. We can't afford to keep feeding the meter. Okay. Oops. Okay, so there's that shirt. And then we need this again. Hi, Chips. How you doing? I hope you're having an okay day today. Boop. All right. Well, that made that way faster. All right. Okay. Now, I really do need... I think, as much as I don't want to do it, I do need drop shadows underneath all of these guys, because otherwise it's going to look dumb. So I'm going to actually just select the asphalt here. And I low-key want to do like a big cast shadow in the alley. Nice! Dates are fun! Yeah, Nixara's super cute. Okay. Weird. I don't know why that is, like... Did I put this on the wrong layer? I did. I don't even care. I'm gonna just merge everything together in a second. It does not even matter. Doesn't even matter. All right, so we got this, and then we're gonna go up here. And let's assume that the sun is coming straight down. Oh, nice. How's the PC repair going? Hopefully pretty okay anyway. It's not quite there, but I don't think anybody's gonna notice. Yeah, there we go. This at least gives this some, overall, like... Oh, I forgot to do the trash can. This gives this at least some, like, global lighting. So now we're going to erase that out. Oh my god, don't die. We need you to live, Aqua. We need you to live. Okay. So now that gives me the opportunity, because there's actually, like, shadow lighting, to go in and do this. And then I need to go in here and grab this. I'm actually going to turn this off so that I get the most accurate color. We're going to go in here. We're going to do some... Not with that brush. Can we do like a... What is... Like color dodge? Nah. It might be lighten, actually. I'm actually not going to do that over there. We'll see how this looks. Oh my god, that Mudkip emote. I can't. Okay, this at least works. I low-key want to do like an entire, I don't know. What? Where is the white for the shoes? What? Why? Oh, it's on Color Burn. I was like, why is it doing that? We're okay. We're okay. I don't need it that high up, but I do need some kind of AO, because otherwise it looks weird. And also, too, I need to get this shadow correct. Yum! Macaroons are good. Here in the US, there's a lot of confusion over macarons versus macaroons, and people will just randomly call macaroons macarons, and it's like they are not the same thing. These are two different things. Oh, and then somehow also, too, I did do the dumpster for whatever reason. Don't know how that happened. Dumpster. Alright, that'll work. Macarons are a French baked cookie. Macaroon is like a coconut cookie. They're completely different cookies. One has an extra O. So a macaroon is a cookie that looks like this. Not a macaron. See? That's not right. This is a macaroon. It's got like a chocolate bottom and it tastes like a Samoa cookie, like a Girl Scout cookie. This is a macaron. Macaron is French. Macaron, it's French. A macaroon is not French. A macaroon is an Italian cookie. It means to crush. So in other words, crushed coconut. A macaron is a French almond cookie. And they are puffy. And they are silly. And they taste like little No, a macaroon is an Italian cookie. Yeah, no, a Samoa is the Girl Scout cookie. Which is, again, also a different cookie. And Samoas are named after the country Samoa, which is a small island. Because this is a completely different, again, similar cookie, but different cookie. Not the same. I don't know why they called it Samoa in particular, because the main difference between a Samoa Girl Scout cookie and a macaroon is that a Samoa has a cookie center. So you can see, like, here, this is an actual biscuit. Like, this is a cookie center, versus a macaroon is made entirely of coconut. These things don't have any cookie in them at all. It's just all chewy coconut. So, slightly different. Why are Samoa cookies... Why are they called this? I love macarons. I chose to have for my wedding, not any traditional cake, because I fucking hate cake. And we had just macarons. Oh, weird. So yeah, they are named after the Polynesian island. Just because it has coconut in them? That's weird. I love how they're like, you know what has coconut? The island of Samoa. Yes, you know what makes me think of the tropics? This specific island. They couldn't have called it like coconut crunch or like coconut cream, like anything. They were like, what if we in the 70s culturally appropriated an entire island in the South Pacific, an entire cluster of islands, and then named a Girl Scout cookie after it. These people are like, what the fuck kind of cookie is that? God damn. Samoa is a beautiful archipelago, though. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah. Americans are weird. I think about how the crab rangoon is because we had like a really bad culturally appropriative tiki bar, and it is made by a Chinese guy, so the chef themselves were Chinese, but like the idea of the crab rangoon came from the Trader Joe's, the owner of Trader Joe's culturally appropriative idea of a tiki bar. We tend to do this a lot, is my point. Alright, well, let's get some... Yeah, macaroons are fucking delicious. If you never had a macaroon, if you like coconut, that shit's good. They are better than Samoas, in my opinion. I like the chewiness of a macaroon versus, the Samoas have more, like, because they have the cookie center, because they're cheap, they don't have the same kind of, like, nice, like, cloud-like texture of a macaroon. Macarons are like eating air. They're amazing cookies. I fucking love them to death. We had some really fun, like, really wild flavors of macarons for my wedding. Oh, that's so cool, Carrix. Yeah, surprisingly, they're not as popular here in the US, which is wild. Americans don't really like shredded coconut. I feel like maybe it's coming more into fashion again, and, like, it was really popular in the 50s, and then people decided that they didn't like coconut anymore. Yeah, I love crab rangoons. Crab rangoons are great. I definitely don't judge the Chinese guy who was like, hold on, guys, but what if we deep-fried cream cheese? It is very, like, American Chinese cuisine, but it's also one of the cooler American Chinese inventions. I feel like orange chicken and crab rangoons get dogged on for not being, quote, authentically Chinese, but I'm like, both of those were made by Chinese people, so, like, what do you mean? They were both made by Chinese immigrants, so, like, I feel like they're close enough. Which hilariously makes Panda Express more authentic than Taco Bell. Just in case anybody was curious. Some culinary history. Yeah, it's really sad, Garrix. It's so sad. No, Americans, we have really poor taste in food. I think it's getting better as more people, like, eat stuff outside of their comfort zone, or if you live in an area with a lot of immigrants, like the first time I had ever eaten Polish food was moving up to Denver, which is one of like the largest international airport cities that we have in the US. It's like Denver, Washington D.C. I feel like LAX is one of the big ones in Los Angeles. The New York, the God, which is the biggest, the one big airport in New York City? I can't remember the name of it. That one, I would argue Chicago, and like Houston, Texas. So because we're in like a really big international port, like we actually have a lot of good stuff. But there are like a bunch of local Polish people's making pierogies and stuff up here, which is really great. But like, yeah, where I lived, in Colorado Springs, we had like nothing. And then even then, most Americans are like, oh, well, we only eat like pierogies. Like I was very lucky to come up here. We have a bigger Russian and Ukrainian population than we do a Polish population, I think, here in Denver. But like, I got to have like pelmenis and like pelmeni just in general, and golupsi really for the first time. Like it was you know, kind of a big deal. Colorado Springs is Whitey McWhitersville down there, not even in a fun way, in like an Applebee's kind of a way. There's a green onion on the outside of my cup that was like washed in the washing machine on my teacup, and it has calcified into the crispiest green onion of all time. Get off of here. Hold on, I gotta get this green onion off this cup. It like just stained the cup. The green onion's too powerful. Oh, it's because there was a crack in the cup. I see there was a scratch on the cup, and so the green onion glued itself to the crack. I understand. Yeah, pierogies are good. Oh my god, they're so good. Yeah, in America, that's, yeah, in American English, we put S's on the end of everything. Yeah, so the name of the official business, and it's run and owned by a Polish immigrant, is called Pierogi's Factory. Yeah. So not Pierogi Factory, Pierogi's Factory. Yeah, because in American English we have that grammar rule. Americans are not really good at handling, like, I think of like you know, the Golupsi issue, where like an American is going to be more likely to call multiple Golupsis versus I would like a Galupsa. You know what I mean? It's like the plurals don't work the same here. So it's really weird. Our American English grammar, or like English grammar in general, is actually fucking awful. I'm gonna come out there and say that as like a native English speaker. It's horrendous. But we do the same thing with Italians too, where like or Italian cuisine, where you have cannoli, which are like multiple little like desserts. So like everybody here loves a cannoli. I can spell. So cannoli, the tube-shaped thing, cannoli is plural. Cannoli singular is cannolo. So one cannoli is a cannolo, but here in the US, we don't say, I would like a cannolo. We say, I would like a cannoli. One cannoli. So we've turned plurals of other languages into singulars in American English, which is rough. Really rough. And like, don't even get me started on like American English like pronunciation of Chinese. It's bad. It's bad. Okay. Oh yeah, cannolis are good. You can get them from most like pizza places. Like if you go to like, where is that one place? Hold on. Joey's Pizza. Do they have a cannoli? Yeah. Yeah, they do. Joey's New York Pizza. These guys they have like a bunch of locations in Colorado Springs. They have one, the one that I typically go to is the one up by Chapel Hills, but they also have one off of Templeton and one off of 24. But Joey's Pizza has cannolis. So if you're looking to get a cannoli, an Italian dessert, it's effectively like they have their own homemade cannoli. These guys have great pizza, actually. I really do like these. But most Italian restaurants, pizza places that are actually Italian, or are owned by Italians or by New Yorkers, they'll have cannoli. Cannoli are good. I'm not normally a huge fan of like cream-based desserts, but if like the cannoli's got a good like I guess it would be called like a canapé in French, but like a good like tube, a good cannoli tube. They're not like overcooked or anything. Because sometimes they can be burnt. Like they get way overcooked and they're really gross, and it's like eating cardboard. It ain't good. Yeah, do it. A Joey's Pizza also, you can buy pizza by the slice up there. So fucking good. I love Joey's Pizza. Oh yeah, panna cotta is amazing. Panna cotta is really, really good. I find that like European desserts are way better than American desserts, mostly because we put too much sugar in everything, and so it's kind of hard finding Italian American restaurants here in the U.S. that don't add a bunch of extra sugar and make everything super, super, super sweet, which is kind of a bummer. So it's difficult to find, but when you do, though. There's also a really good Italian market called Malika's in southern Colorado Springs. That does have a lot of like really authentic stuff. They sell like guanciale and like other good delectables. Why are you bolded? Hold on, wait a second. Are you bolded? I think that you are. Yeah, you are. Cursed. But Colorado Springs low-key is kind of a wasteland. Alright, we finally got done with this stupid page. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was awful. Napoleonka. If that is similar to... Yes. Yeah, interesting. I think Russia has like a similar dessert, but also this custard looks insane. This looks so good. Yeah, I think we would have to home make this here. There's not very many places that serve this. But I love this. Yeah, this custard filling looks amazing. Custard desserts are probably some of my favorites. Very, very pretty dessert. I feel bad. I feel like Americans too, because we're so cheap, a lot of our desserts end up being mostly bread and not custard. And so it's like you get like 2 pieces of cheap white cake and then like maybe some frosting in the middle. Yeah, that looks so good. Yeah, brie cheese is actually often described as custardy, having a custard interior. Like other popular custards, of course, that have like the same consistency would be like creme brulee, although this might be a little bit softer. Depends on how creamy you make your creme brulee, but sometimes creme brulee can be like really thick. But also too, the ever classic flan is also a custard as well. Fucking love flan. Flan hands down is my favorite dessert. I don't care if it's leche flan, like Filipino leche flan. I don't care if it's flan, like Mexican flan. I will go to town on some flan. I will let it ruin my life. Okay, so now... Yeah, you can get flan from a lot of, like, pretty much every Mexican restaurant should have flan. If they don't have flan, I am relatively concerned. But... yeah, Mexican flan is normally like dulce de leche, so it's gonna be like dulce or dulce. It's gonna have like the like caramel topping on it. Dulce de leche, as they say here in the United States, but yeah, dulce. It's gonna have that like caramel. Yeah, it's a caramel-like sauce made by heating milk and sugar. Yeah, dulce. Or you could just get it in this tub. Oh my god. I don't need an entire tub of dulce de leche. I don't... I love how this is also somehow lactose free. It's made with milk, but it don't got milk in it. I wish I was better at reading Polish. You'll have to let me know how to phonetically pronounce that dessert, because I don't want to, like, totally butcher it. Poppy seeds are so good, though, too. Let me see if any attempt that I was going to make at this dish. Is it makavik? Let me know if I butchered that. I need to get better. My Russian and my Ukrainian is much better than my Polish. But I feel like there were better phonetic translations from Russian to English because of the Cyrillic. And then Polish has, like, terrible transliteration in American English. It's, like, really, really bad. I don't claim to know what's going on over here in the United States. I don't... We are merely tomfooleries. That's all I gotta say. We are silly billies, but not in the way that you'd expect. Not in a fun way. Some of us are fun, but most of the time it's a hellscape. Yeah, see, my main issue is that I'm, like, fluent in Spanish and then I can never use it. Mi abuelo fue Chicano. He was... The Spanish was his first language, my grandpa. And then I didn't really get to learn it from him. I had to, like, learn it from school because he was really worried about teaching his kids and grandkids Spanish because he didn't want people to be racist. Which, probably smart move on his part, but then that also means that I don't know, like, any of my Mexican family. Oh, tsa. Okay, cool. See? This is why you can't trust Google. So, we've got Macavits, right? Or Macavits, right? Macavits. That's what I thought, and then Google told me otherwise. See, Google, we can't trust it. And what it gave me, again, was the American English pronunciation of the word, which is not right, because we should all be learning how to say shit in native languages, guys. I feel super bad because, like, recently, figure skater Alyssa Leo came out and had to, like, or Elisa Leo, I should say her first name correctly as well. She had to come out and to effectively tell everybody that they were saying her name wrong. Like, every interview she's done since winning the Olympics, people have been saying her name wrong. And it's not only just her last name, which is Chinese, and people have been, like, mispronouncing it really terribly. But then also, to her first name, that people have been saying it's Alyssa, but her name is actually Elisa. So she's been asking people to correct the pronunciation of her name. And she says it doesn't really bother her, but, like, it's gotta be annoying as hell if your last name is Liu, to have people coming up to you being like, "Are you Alyssa Liu?" And then just completely butcher the fuck out of your name. I don't know. I relate. I've been called Taco before. So, it's frustrating as fuck. Yeah, Leo. Well, and it's tough. I was, like, talking with Jace about it because there are some Chinese American and Taiwanese American actors who pronounce their names in the American way, so that way Americans have an easier time to pronounce it. So one of the more famous examples of that I find is either one, people change their names altogether, or they pronounce it the other way. So Simu Liu is another one of those guys. Simu Liu's from Canada. He's very cool, great actor. Obviously, he was just in Shang-Chi, and he's been all over the place. Great action actor. He was also in Your Dreams too. I loved this film. Good actor. But he pronounces his name Simu Liu, or Simu Liu sometimes when doing interviews. But here we go. 2 weeks ago, it looks like Alyssa Liu coming out. Oh my god. Alyssa Liu was like, hey, pronounce our fucking names right. And Simu Liu is now saying, yes. Yes, I feel like a lot of Lius grew up in non-Asian environments and went by Liu for simplicity's sake because it's easier to say. So sad. Yeah, Liu and Liu are two different Chinese names, in case you care, in case you want to make it an effort to get it right. By name, though, Simu, it is Simu, and you should be able to definitely get that right, you bitches. I can't. So, guaranteed, also, Alyssa Liu came out and was like, hey, guys, you guys are butchering this fucking name. And now, like, I do feel bad, because then that means that Simu Liu has been going by Simu Liu for literally years, because people just, he was under the assumption, like, people are not going to be able to pronounce my name correctly. And that is messed up. So don't do that. Don't be doing that. We can figure it out. We can be stronger than this, y'all. But yeah, Taco. Literally, yeah, my transphobic family has refused to call me by my name and will literally call me Taco. And now Taco, T-A-K-O, that's fine. If I was going by a Japanese name, which would be weirdly appropriative, that would be less bad. I don't even mind it when, like, little, like, Mexican ladies pronounce my name Ticho. Totally fine with that, because I recognize that phonetically in Spanish, that's what it would read as. And so whenever I'm, like, at the doctor and, like, a Latina nurse is like, Ticho, I'm like, that's fine. I don't even care. But I picked a Greek-ass name for, like, religious reasons. But oh yeah, hey Chips, same hat. Yeah, no, legit, my abuelo was one of those Catholic school orphanage, like, residential Native American school kids. And so they changed his name from the, like, his Chicano, like, Spanish name. Now, granted, like, indigenous history here in the States is a little bit rough, but, like, the area that my abuelo was from was heavily colonized by the Spanish, and so most Chicano people use Spanish names rather than indigenous names, right? Or Inde or Dine names, right? They're going to be using Spanish names. So, but his name was originally Jose Felipe. That was what he was born with, was Jose Felipe Lopez. Okay, that's his fucking full name. And then the fucking Catholic orphanage made him change his name to Joseph Philip to make him more white, and then told him that if he ever spoke Spanish, they'd beat his ass. So, in other words, he did not ever teach my mother Spanish. He didn't teach any of his other 3 kids Spanish. And then occasionally we would just run into his Mexican relatives in, like, Big Lots or something. And then they were, like, shocked that I knew Spanish. But it skipped a generation because my mom didn't, my mom never learned Spanish. So it, like, totally skipped a generation. It was lame. Okay, I'm gonna actually leave this page open. Yeah, because I know some people, like, they see my username and they'd rather pronounce, like, Dorian instead, which is also totally fine. And actually, that is a great honor to be called Dorian. But, like, Tycho's fine. If you're pronouncing it the Greek way, is Tycho, you know, or Tycho. That's totally fine, too. But, like, famous astronomer Tycho Brahe, a lot of Americans pronounce his name Tycho Brahe instead of Tycho Brahe. You know, so I'm not going to be mad if somebody comes at me with an American pronunciation. But Taco, it's a little bit fucking far. Aqua, you have eyes and you can read. You're smart. That's how. You're too good. You're too smart for this world. That's what happened to you. But yeah, most people, like, I'm surprised most people don't read it like K sound like a German sound, like Bach. You know, like, and I know, like, in German, his name would be Bach with, like, a soft CH sound. Tycho is the same way, where it's a soft, like, key sound in Greek. But, like, Tycho or Tycho is fine. Like, it's totally okay. People go rogue. They're like, white people taco night. I'm like, that is the opposite of what we're going for here, actually. Oh, I need to give Tiger a baseball bat, I realize. Okay, hold on. We're gonna actually have the same Oh, look at this. I don't have to do too many crazy panels this week, actually. I was, like, really worried that I was going to be in a bad place here, actually. Yeah, no, shit's wild. Shit's wild over here. But I am proud of a lot of Asian Americans now and Asian Canadians standing up for, like, having their names pronounced correctly. Like, I do think that it's really sad that we don't know, like, I love Jackie Chan. I think that his name is super fun from, like, an American standpoint. But his name is Chung Long. Or Long Chung, I think, technically, because Long, I believe, is his last name. Oh, that's his Chinese stage name. His birth name is Chan Kong Sang. Born in Hong Kong. Yeah, Kong Sang. Yeah, Chan Kong Sang. So we don't know him as Chan Kong Sang or even as his stage name because Chung Long is such a badass stage name. Chung Long means to become the dragon. Fucking badass. And instead he has to settle with Jackie Chan over here. And it's like, why did we do this to him? Why? We had the option to not do that. Like, everyone is racist. It just pissed me off. It makes me so mad. Makes me angy. Angy pangy, guys. Uh oh, we got some teehee. I'm fine. Like, it makes me so sad that everybody had to, like, teach Americans how to say Kiev properly because everybody kept pronouncing it weird, and it's like, what the fuck is happening, guys? But then again, people can't read, so I shouldn't be surprised. Let me get this over here. Let me do my set here. Well, and especially because, again, Nyx is a Greek word. Which is where we get Latin nox from. That's where we get the word for night from. That's the etymology of it. It's so scary. Carricks, no, man. Almost a fourth of our American population is illiterate. Almost 25% of Americans cannot read. Like, that's where we're at right now. So crazy. I think about that literally every day. Hi, Ava. I'm doing much better than yesterday. I hope you're having a good day, though. Legit people can't read, and I'm afraid. Nyx is the goddess of night, actually, believe it or not. Yep, she's the primordial goddess of the night. So she's the night sky. Yeah, the weird artistic interpretations. This is a cool painting. This is like I wonder when this was painted. I was like, this has got to be a Victorian era painting. It is, 1888. Down there at the bottom. Yeah, Nyx, she's described as being like a blanket. Yeah, she has this chariot where these horses are black. And they fly over the sky and like drag a blanket of night over top. Pretty cool. She's married to Erebus, I think. Yeah, Erebus, the god of darkness. Yeah, so together they this is a beautiful illustration. Oh, this is from Hades the game, that's why. Beautiful illustration. They're both titans. Why are people I love how Hades the game was like, "Hey guys, these guys are Greek," and then everybody else is out here being like, "Would you like white people?" I'm like, "No." No, thank you. I am good. Okay, let's get this damn thing. Let me bend this guy's arm. Yeah, I think technically Artemis is the goddess of the moon. Oh, Selena. Duh. Yeah, Selena, who technically is, also a Titan. Daughter of Hyperion and Thea. Sister of Helios and Eos. Oh, and then also, too, lover of Endymion. Classic. Yes, Selene. Well, if we're being accurate for Greek purposes, it's Selene. But you know, I mean, over time, it's tough. I actually just like complained about this on Blue Sky. Yeah. So if we look at the way that the goddess's name is spelled in Greek, Selene is that is not right. That is not right. So what we have here in Greek is three I sounds. We have Selini, like the moon, Selini, right? So it sounds like Greek is very similar to Italian. So American English pronunciations often rely on the Latin or Roman pronunciations of the goddesses. But even still, in ancient Latin, this would have still been Selini in Latin, regardless. Coming from Greek noun selas, meaning light. Selini, yeah. Not Selene. What is this? Yeah, no, I've been having a crash out over Assassin's Creed Odyssey specifically because, like, the actor for Alexios is so bad at pronouncing Greek that, like, every 15 minutes he changes his pronunciation for words, and it's literally driving me batshit. I, like, physically can't deal. So fucking annoying. But with the, like, with the angelicization and the Victorian fascination of Greek mythology, a lot of our pronunciations for Greek words got really messed up. And, like, to some extent, it's not really that bad. You know, like, you think about Zeus and his name and how we pronounce it in English. But in Greek, if we look at the actual, and this is, again, not Attic Greek, this is modern Greek, there's an accent over the U, so that becomes Zeus or Zeus, right? And it would have been Zeus, right? Is Zeus pronounced Zeus or Z? Yeah, this is what this person is here. So ancient Greek would have been Zeus, which is, again, not how we pronounce it at all, but Zeus is going to be more close to Greek. And at the end of the day, like, Americans are just never, ever, ever going to pronounce it as Zeus, or we're going to look at it and pronounce it in the and actually modern Greek, pardon me, my definitions were backwards. So Zeus, so it's going to be soft V. A U is a soft V in Greek. Zeus would have been, again, more Latin sounding, but older. But yeah, effectively, yeah, Carrix, you're not wrong. The director, well, the problem is what we have is the lady who plays Cassandra is Canadian Greek, but she was raised in Athens. The guy who played Alexios is Canadian Greek, raised in Canada. So effectively, that would be like if somebody told me as a Mexican American, they were like, well, we wanted to hire a Mexican actor, but we couldn't find one. So we grabbed you. You're close enough, right? You're almost Mexican. Can you do a Mexican accent? And then told me, as a white American,
who has Chicano ancestry to be like, okay, put on your best, like, Cheech Marine accent. Weird shit. And so, like, not only would that high key feel like super racist, but then also, too, would, end up being like not very culturally accurate. So effectively what we have is a Greek Canadian guy doing a bad Canadian accent, and then they did not have a Canadian linguist on the team to be able to make a decision on whether or not they were going to pronounce things with a modern Greek pronunciation, an Attic Greek pronunciation, or an American or Western Canadian pronunciation, which those are three different things. And so, like, what I'm running into in this game is, like, Alexios can't decide, the guy who played Alexios can't decide whether or not he wants to pronounce the name for the city Athena, like Athens, right? Do you pronounce the goddess's name Athena, or Athene? Like, he starts throwing in random letters that, like, were never existent in the language anyway, and I don't speak Greek hardly at all. Like, Athena in Attic Greek is Athene, not Athene, Athene, right? So, and again, the accent is over the A sound, so not Athene, right? And that eventually evolved into modern Greek Athena or Athena, right? And if we look at Greek, because it's got accents, we've got the accent over the I. And we can look up Athens in Greek, and that is going to be, again, an accent over the I. So they needed to make a decision on which was the correct pronunciation, and if they were going to go with modern Greek, that's totally fine. That's a-okay. I don't think any Greek person would be upset, or any person, or any linguist, anybody with any interest in linguistics would be upset if they just, like, picked one. But they went rogue, and the guy pronounces it different every 15 seconds. And so you can hear the background actors who are actually Greek people speaking fluent Greek, and it sounds completely different than the main character. It's so bad. It's really, 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 really bad. I have not seen a linguistic fuck up. And, like, what's insane to me about that is that for Origins, they reconstructed ancient Egyptian so that people could speak ancient Egyptian, Latin, and Greek in the background of that game. So they literally reconstructed a dead language for the game before that, but then they can't fucking get their actor to pronounce Greek shit correctly in the next game. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, there are literally living, alive people who speak fluent Greek. Like, at any point, you could have just gone and found a Greek person to be like, hey, is this right? And, like, all of the Greek background voice actors are probably like, what? You know, like... like, what the fuck? And, like, I understand not everybody's going to pronounce things the same, you know, like, and I personally, like, I talk to people about Greek mythology, and there's always that person, because I'm like, I personally, one of my patron gods is Hermes, and it's Hermes, right? And then they look at me like I'm on coke, and I'm like, I promise it's just Greek. Like, it'll be okay, guys. So very weird. You'd think that a professional, would not make that level of decision. Speaking of violently mispronouncing names. And I think that, unfortunately, the more we do it, the worse it gets for people. You know, like, the more you mispronounce a name in American English, the more you teach other people that it is okay to mispronounce people's names. Like, it's alright to... if it's too hard, you can just not pronounce it correctly, and that is so fucking annoying. And, like, it's to the point where, like, I was even on my trip in Greece, and, like, my tour guide's name was Eleftherios, right? But Eleftherios is a long name, And so he went by Lefteris, which is the nickname for Eleftherios, right? It's a Cretan name. And then that was still too hard for the people on, like, that I was on the trip, the Americans that I was on the trip with. And so then they legit just started calling him Lefty. And I'm like, you guys couldn't have even just called him by the nickname that he gave you? Like, Lefteris is too hard? So I don't know, that shit bothers me pretty deeply, I guess. I recognize I might be like a stickler for that kind of shit, but I just don't want anybody's names to get mispronounced, you know? It bothers me. I wish that I could learn, like, all languages. Because even having some basis in how to pronounce shit would be great. Also, everybody should stretch. Alright, hold on now. I love how this Brady model became an adult-sized human because the Brady model didn't maintain its one kid factor to it, and so it looks like he looks terrifying. But I guess he actually works. I'm not upset about it. Okay, almost there. This guy really be out here like, this is Sparta! Let me turn off all these other demons, though, so that way I just have him. The historical accuracy drives me bananas. Yeah, autocorrect is kind of low-key the devil, too. I have issues, like, typing to people in Spanish because my phone... I could set Spanish as my secondary language on my phone, which I probably should at some point. But also, I'm lazy. Actually, what if I turn these guys back on for this shot, actually? But this is not going to look good. Hold on. Hold the phone. This will be fine. Yeah, I just feel like I wonder at, like, what point does it become, like, culturally disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? That's my major issue with, like, people mispronouncing shit is I'm like, you guys had the ability to learn how to say it right, and then you're intentionally just being like, I'm white, it's too hard. I'm American, it's too hard. It's like, okay, well, fucking learn. Figure it out. Get better. Get good. Stop being a weenie. We breed laziness, I feel like, here, though. Italian is cool. I get thrown off by Italian because, like, legit, because I'm fluent in Spanish, I'll listen to Italian for a good 5 minutes, and I'll be like, yeah, 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 and I just understand what's going on, and then all of a sudden my brain goes, these are not the droids you're looking for, and then I'm like, what? And it throws me for a loop, because it's so similar. I can understand what's going on, but then my brain goes, this is not Spanish, this is not my beautiful house, this is not my beautiful wife, and then I'm like, what is happening? Literally short circuit. Am I gonna have to put a light in this scene? Why? Why would you do this to me? Daz, you're so dumb and I hate you. They're gonna make me put a light in this scene. Why you do this? There we go. I put a light in the scene. Everything's fine. Oh, I don't have Sean in this scene either. Okay, hold on. We're making it happen. Actually, this page is not going to be nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm making the decision to just kind of take my time with this stuff because I recognize, like, as much as I want to have deadlines and as much as I want to be able to, I don't know, have this production be kind of on time, I can't. And it's likely going to get worse when I move to Canada, most likely. Damn it. It's going to be the most threatening expression on this guy's face, I swear to God. Hold on now. Let me twist this down. Turn her this way. Nope, not like that. Just kidding. Why rotate? Hold on, I got this. Why am I like this? I actually kind of want to... yeah. Better. Okay. Almost there. Sorry, y'all. Okay, I got it. I did it. I did it. Bye, have fun in math. And by that I mean I hate math. Yeah, see, and even Carrick's, while people say that they require us to learn one extra language, most students don't. And so, like, in order to get my, like, advanced degree, like doing IB, which is an international baccalaureate program that's based in Europe, just in general, I was required to take 4 years of Spanish to learn Spanish. But most kids, they're only required to take 2 years of a language, and then they can just stop. And so most United States students are fluent, barely fluent in English as their first language, I would say. Comprehensively, they are okay in English, and then they are not fluent in a second language. Like most people, unless you are, and I'm specifically talking about, I would say, to white populations, because this obviously does not apply to immigrant populations or people of color, because if you have like a Latino household, for example, they're also going to be speaking Spanish. You know, it's really only white Americans that are not doing that. And so that's where you get the rhetoric here in the US that it's like, well, America's an English country. You speak English in America, when like the state that I grow up in Colorado, and then all of the states that are south of us, so New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, all of those, California, Utah to some extent, but not as much, but and Texas, most of the people that live there are Mexican. Most of the people that live there speak Spanish, and then are being told, like, no, your language is not valid, and you need to learn to speak English. And so it's really elitist and really supremacist. It's really, really bad. Yeah, elementary school kids, and so primary, so kids going from grade, here in the US that would be grade 1 through 8, are not required to learn a second language. You're only required to learn a second language from grades 9 to 10, and then you don't have to learn the secondary language anymore. So some high schools require you learn it through grades 9 through 12, but even then that's considered like extra credit, effectively. Okay, let me get this in here. No! Jeff, you didn't see anything. Oh, yeah, no, the American... I mean, there's a reason why I say, like, the American education system is, like, one of the worst in the world. Or, like, I should say not the worst in the world, but the worst in high-income countries. It's really, really bad. Like, really, really bad. Is this entire page covered in cowboy shots? Yes. Do I care? No. And it's like, to some extent, I don't think that we need to like learn crazy amounts of stuff. You know, like if your plan in life is to go on and be like a mechanic, or like, you know, do a trade job, like be a plumber or an electrician or any of those things, like you don't need like upper level math. You know, like I took calculus classes. I've never used that once in my fucking life. I barely use beyond algebra in my day-to-day life, right? So someone's intelligence should not be judged based on like how much math they can do or any of that stuff. But like it starts to get really bad when like what it does impact here in the US is people's ability to understand basic information, and they when things are told to them, they legitimately don't understand what's going on, and that it's really bad. Oh yeah, I picked Greek because of religious reasons, and as long as you're respectful to it, chips, you're pretty much good. But I recognize also Greek people, while they're Mediterranean, they're still like within my diaspora of like white people. I had a Turkish grandma, for example, so like, and Greece and Turkey are right across the street from each other. So like, while I don't have a direct connection to that culture, that's fine. But I do think that like there's like a line where people need to draw. Like, for me, for example, I'm not gonna pick a Japanese name because I am not East Asian in the slightest. Like, that would be the weirdest shit of all time. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like because the American diaspora, white people specifically, Caucasian people in the United States, typically have so much genetic influence from dozens of European nations, that starts to become less of an issue, especially if you're respectful to the country that you're like getting your stuff from. It's like not so bad. But as soon as you start to be like a weeb about it, then that's where that gets weird. What is the editor-writer's version of the ROM? I don't know what you're referring to. Are you... Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah, I could never. Yeah, it'd be really weird. It would be like if I picked like... If I had picked like a Swahili or like a Yoruba or an Iwo name. It's like, I'm not from Africa. Oh, yeah, I've never heard of that building. Oh, I think that this building is beautiful. Oh, it's the Royal Ontario Museum. I love this building. I don't think that it can be... Like, this magazine is claiming that it's Ontario's most hated building, or even Canada's most hated building, but from like an architectural standpoint, I think that this is really fucking cool, actually. I don't really have any issues with this. I think it's really avant-garde. And I think that if you don't understand or appreciate fine art, you might have issues with this. But just like... Yeah, I can imagine the inside looks weird as fuck. I guess it would depend on like what you define as pointless. And like, I guess I'm probably the wrong person to ask this question because I teach illustration at a fine arts school. Because in fine art, nothing is pointless, right? Nothing is wasted space. Because if you're inside this internally, this strange space creates an amazing atrium. Right? And so the question is that pointless, right? In the same way the Winchester Mansion in the United States has doors to nowhere or staircases that lead to brick walls. For the lady that designed that building, there was a point, and that point happens to be very weird, which is to deter spirits. And so for this fine artist, for this fine art architect, the point might be that the unexpected should be appreciated. Right? That there are no rules. The point is that rules do not apply, which is the most fine arts statement that could possibly be made. Right? And fine art in general operates in that way where you don't have to abide by rules. And it looks like from like an aerial standpoint, there's not really that much weird shit going on, and it's only in this one like part of the building, so I might be the wrong person to ask because I believe at least is in art and writing and in anything, whether you're doing music or performance art or theater or film, there are no rules. If you feel like it will make an impactful statement in terms of art and you can justify a reason why you want to do that, then do it. There are things that certainly collective traditionalists in any art form are going to hate just because they're traditionalists and they don't like it. There's a difference between something being factually or grammatically incorrect or breaking the rules for stylistic reasons, which is what I'm trying to say, is that like there is always going to be somebody who hates something just to hate something, right? Author Salman Rushdie is known for breaking grammar conventions and having massive run-on sentences, right? Theoretically, run-on sentences are grammatically incorrect and thereby should be wrong. But Salman Rushdie intentionally uses run-on sentences to create a sense of panic and fear. So thereby, the thing that is, quote, hated and incorrect, because any elementary school English teacher or middle school English teacher will tell you, I hate students that use run-on sentences. But when Salman Rushdie uses run-on sentences, it becomes poetry, right? So the question, unfortunately, becomes, is it hated because you hate it, or is it hated because it's universally hated? And my argument would be is that nothing is universally hated in any art form. There are people who are traditionalists who expect things to be one way, and then they get upset when something is contrary to that. And if we do not have that expansion in art form, if we don't have people who are experimenting and breaking the rules, then we never make new art. Because all modern art forms came from somebody breaking the rules. And if we didn't have, if they didn't do that, then we wouldn't have modern art. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really answer that question, because every editor is going to give you a different answer, right? Because when I edit my own clients' work, if they do something that is not conventional, but they pull it off, I don't change it, because that's their writer's voice, that's their artistic choice, and it's not my decision, it's not my job to decide what is or is not their art style. You know what I'm saying? I guess to have a better example of this, I had a teacher when I was in 8th grade tell me that I was never going to become a real artist because she hated Japanese style art. And when I was in 8th grade, that was all that I was drawing, was Japanese style manga and anime style art. And she looked at it and she said, I fucking hate that. That is not real art. There are plenty of Western artists who hate Japanese art. I also had a professional animation teacher at the school that I went to tell me that he hated anime because, quote, the dialogue or the lip sync was gummy. Because he was an idiot and didn't realize that the original fucking cartoons were lip synced to Japanese. And so they're gummy because we're trying to put Japanese lip sync to American dubbed words. Right, and so somebody's always going to have, I guess, an opinion about something that's probably factually wrong. So there's no way for me to answer that question. From a very philosophical perspective, I guess, there is no answer. I typically think that most people, when they say this is the most hated building or this is the most hated thing, are not appreciating the art for what its intention was, and are instead projecting their own personal feelings onto that piece of art. Which is, of course, the point of art, right? So you can't say that their opinion is wrong, but that starts to become difficult to describe what is the most hated thing in editing and writing. You know what I mean? So I recognize that is a super long answer, but I don't think that there's a real way to answer that question, I guess. Also, yakisoba is fucking delicious. True, though. Sorry I answered that fucking question like Spock. I answered that question in maybe the most Spock-ass way I could have possibly answered that question. I'm going to open up Tiger's character sheet over here because I can't ever remember. I haven't drawn him in a little while, so I'm going to have his face open over here so I can see it. No, I don't think so. I think people are, like, probably there are some people, I know historically, to answer this question from an art history perspective, there are some people who historically have hated certain styles of art and tried to discredit that art because of racism and hatred. So, for example, we're in the middle of ads, so I'll wait for a second until we get out of ads so that I can answer this in a second. But this answer, or this question, is really nuanced and is very difficult to answer in a basic way. So to answer this question, effectively, saying art is a really broad term because there are a variety of different types of art, right? But if we're talking about fine art and illustration specifically, there will always be elitist groups, so people who are the ones who are currently deemed as the most popular, the most correct, the most technically gifted, etc., that will always look at other art from other cultures and shit on them. That's just a fact of life. People are racist, and racism and xenophobia and cultural elitism will always result in people shitting on art for absolutely zero reason. So that being said, do I think that the Red Scare and the Cold War affected the way that teachers saw manga? No. And the reason for that is that most older people who were teaching in the early 2000s had never seen anime or have never read a manga, right? They typically are coming from a place not of anti-communism or anti-Eastern work. They're coming from a place of classism and elitism, and those are two different things. So for example, that teacher that told me I was never going to become a real artist would likely have looked at something like this and said that this was real art. This counts as art. This is a Chinese watercolor painting or a silk painting. She would have said, yes, this is fine art. But the second she looked at this is not art. This is bastardization. But the same lady also would have said that this is also not art, and this is bastardization. This is cartoons. This is not real art, right? And so the lady's not coming at it from like a I hate communist perspective, thereby I hate manga, because ultimately at the end of the day, also too, manga and anime being a Japanese art form, they were never communist, so that would have not likely impacted it. However, we do have historical evidence that there was a lot of propaganda in Soviet art and also art during the Red Scare. So for example, Soviets were producing artwork like this, which to me is very inspirational, and it includes, these are, I don't know when this illustration would have been made. It probably was published in a magazine, but if you notice, there's an equal representation of a bunch of different races here. You have an Asian guy, an Arab guy, a black guy, a white Ukrainian or Slavic guy. You have a Mediterranean-looking dude. So their whole point was we accept everyone of all ethnicities because we aren't racist. And I'm sure that there were still racism issues in the Soviet period. However, a lot of their focus in their artwork was on women specifically and on ethnicities that were not their own. which was leagues ahead of what the US was working on. And so people over in the US, like here's the classic, my favorite fan theory over here in the US is that this is the Russian representative of the Soviet Union and his Chinese husband. Obviously that's not what was being illustrated here, but like you can even see this is in Kazakhstan. There's so many different representations of different ethnicities present in this artwork that was just not happening in the United States. Because at the same time, in the United States, we were depicting white American families. And that was all that was going on. And now granted, you had other illustrators from, again, minority groups that were producing really incredible work, and white people would tell you that this is not art, right? Because white people were in the seat of fine art power. In America, Norman Rockwell was considered one of the best American artists of that period, and he almost never depicted people of color. Art of black resistance, for example, during the revolution, during the civil rights movement, like pieces like this that were painted by people of color, or this, were considered lowbrow art. But when Norman Rockwell painted one of the Little Rock Nine, this is the painting The Problem We All Live With, which was inspired by this photograph of a young girl having to be guarded by the FBI as she walked out of a freshly segregated school. This is Ruby Bridges, is this girl's name. When he painted black resistance art, then it became okay to depict civil rights issues because a white artist had done so, right? So that resulted, like, we can see the cultural implications there of racism and xenophobia present in American art, but I don't think that would have gone so far. Like, I was going to high school to middle school in the 2010s, and the lady that I had my art class from was likely born in the 70s. And so she would not really, like, some of her childhood would have taken place during the Red Scare for sure. But I don't think it would have been enough for her to be like, oh, I hate all Japanese art because of this. Because that's, like, it had more so to do with her being a racist neoliberal, or I shouldn't say neoliberal. Well, maybe even actually that might be true. But particularly a racist neo-evangelical white Christian American. Not because of Cold War propaganda, is I guess my point. So that is also a very nuanced and very complicated topic that doesn't necessarily have one answer. The TLDR is, did the America's view of Soviet states influence our art? Yes. Did it encourage American imperialism in the average art viewer? Also yes. Did it make an entire generation hate manga? Probably not. There were plenty of people who absolutely loved manga, like John Lasseter being one of them. You know, he was the CCO of Pixar for a long time, and he was largely responsible for Hayao Miyazaki's movies being distributed in the United States under Disney as a franchise. And so, like, I guess as like an expansion on this, which is really difficult also to gauge, do I think that it impacted whether or not Chinese animated films are viewed here in the United States? Absolutely. There's a reason that we didn't see Chinese animated films until Ne Zha blew up here in the US, and that is absolutely because of xenophobia, and I don't know what the phobia of communism is specifically, but like they call that communist phobia. It doesn't have a fancy name. Moral panic is what we're going to call that, because that's historically what that's been called here in the US. Moral panic has caused the suppression of Chinese media in the United States. And we've been seeing a really big cultural shift of people switching over to Chinese social media apps, or to Chinese trends. Like there's currently a trend going around on TikTok that's called I'm a brand new Chinese baddie, and people are doing stereotypically East Asian things like wearing house slippers, or doing Korean skincare or things like that. And these are things that East Asian communities, Chinese or not, have been doing for decades. And only now have Americans decided that it's trendy to do so. And it's because of pretty extreme xenophobia and moral panic that was present in the U.S. from effectively the beginning of the Bolshevik Revolution, I would argue, from the early 1900s all the way until now. We still have not gotten over it, which is why the U.S. will not do deals with China and will not do deals really with Russia because of that. And there are other, like, more complicated political reasons for this as well, you know, so not to, like, try and oversimplify, but it does impact how we get our media and why we do what we do, which is also why the United States tried to buy TikTok, because they didn't like how hunky-dory kids were getting with our Chinese neighbors. You know, we were learning a lot from them, and we're being very culturally immersed. And so the purchase of TikTok by an American company, or like a big share of TikTok by an American company, is a deliberate attempt to censor outside of America opinions just in general, and which will eventually impact the art scene, I guess, is the point, to round it back to art. It will impact creative censorship no matter what. Also, we got a self-care combo, so be sure to stretch and drink fluids. I'm almost done with my breakfast, finally. Do Americans not have house slippers? No, Americans are fucking animals, and a lot of white Americans will wear their shoes inside, just regular ass shoes. I grew up in a household where my dad effectively never took shoes off. And my mom was clean as fuck, so she'd vacuum like all the time, but it is more common for Americans to wear their outside shoes inside than to take their shoes off and switch to something like house slippers. And I don't think that that's always been a thing. I think that, like, if you look at, like, I guess, again, to that, like, 1950s period, the glamorization of house slippers and smoking jackets in the 50s and things pointed to wealth. Most Americans are super, super, super poor, and are working blue-collar Americans, and they don't have the money to afford extra house shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that for a long time was, like, a luxury that most people couldn't afford. Yeah, Chips, I think that's a pretty relatable experience for most, like, white American households. Like, and sometimes you just don't have fucking heat in your house. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what, like, some kids grow up with, is, like, you have to keep your shoes on because it's just fucking cold. Versus Asian Americans are more likely to take their shoes off because they came from a culture in which it was not acceptable to wear your shoes inside the house. You know what I'm saying? And those things are catching on as trends in America, because it's like watching a caveman discover fire for the first time. Like, not to totally dog on white American experiences, but I guess I myself, as a white American with mixed ancestry, and then also to being married to an Asian American person, I've been doing this shit for years. You know, like, I've always taken my shoes off inside the house, or, like, I'll always wash my hands before I eat, or you do things that are, like, considered pretty typical for most European or Asian households, and then, like, to white Americans, it is, like, wild. You know? It's, like, it's considered, like, just normal shit, but I don't know what you mean by Brasian. Jace is Filipino, so he's, like, Pacific Islander, East Asian. Oob! No, I can't, Ava. Oob! I used to work at this white-ass cultural appropriation Japanese fast food restaurant called Tokyo Joe's, and actually, hats off to the Tokyo Joe's guy, because even though he was a white dude from Arizona that owned that restaurant, he was very interested in bringing, like, trendy, authentic Japanese culture into the fast casual scene. Tokyo Joe's, for context, is just Japanese Chipotle for people who don't live in the west of the United States. But I had so many white people in Colorado Springs coming into that restaurant pronouncing edamame as edamemes. Oh yeah, we didn't have heat in Texas, and then our AC broke, so we didn't have cooling either. Yeah, that's a pretty common experience, I would say. We didn't have heat in my house growing up, or not heat, AC in my house growing up either, so we were using things like swamp coolers, attic fans. You effectively just slept without a blanket. You know, you just had to kind of fucking suffer, or you sleep in the basement because it was like so fucking hot. You just kind of deal. Like, it's not uncommon for the American experience. Like, my father-in-law grew up eating roadkill because his family was so poor that, like, if you saw a deer get hit by a car on the side of the road, you go and you eat it because, like, you might not be able to afford groceries that week, you know? And it's a little bit different than, like, and some families cope with that by teaching their kids how to hunt, you know? So that's you know, obviously no shade on that at all. I'm a huge fan of being able to hunt for yourself and go and get your own food and all of that other shit. But there's a difference between I have the money for a gun, because even guns are expensive, to go and hunt, versus this deer has been dead on the side of the road for 2 days, but it's probably okay? You know, and there's like a big question mark around that. It's like, can we eat this or are we gonna die? Oh my god, an American talking about a new Starbucks flavor? No, it's bad. It's bad. Starbucks is literally the champion of, like, cultural appropriation. Like, they're so bad. The Dubai chocolate trend really has, like, fucking killed me, actually. But it's hard, because, like, you see how that shit impacts communities pretty directly. Like, my husband's family being Filipino, like, my mom-in-law has all of these favorite foods that she absolutely loves, and, like, their whole family has been complaining about the ube trend because ube is such a popular flavor in the Philippines and has been for decades. And now they're worried that because ube is trendy, that all of a sudden ube, what's going to happen with Spam is going to happen with ube, where Spam used to be 79 fucking cents a can, and now Spam is $5.99 for a tin of Spam. Like, absolutely insane. So they're worried that that's gonna cause the ube to become super expensive, and then it's like, well, what's next? Pandan, Makapuno, like, what's next? You know, are they going to gentrify and appropriate a bunch of shit? You know, like, what's next? So there is that, like, genuine concern, I think, over stuff like that. So it's always good if at all possible, you know, if you like trendy shit, like liking ube is not the problem, right? Ube is delicious. We fucking love ube in this house. But if you like ube, go and buy it from a Japanese person, from a Chinese person, from a Filipino person, from literally anybody but Starbucks, you know? Because oftentimes the Starbucks version is going to be watered down and not nearly as good. And if you go spend your money at an Asian American's establishment, or wherever you live, even if you're, like, you know, across the pond in the UK, going and spending money at an Asian person's store is going to be better for the community overall. There's been this thing going on in the US that's been called, like, H Mart Gate, where, like, the, Korean communities experiencing a flood of white Americans coming into H Mart, and they're being super fucking disrespectful. And the reason that they want to go in there is because of the popularity of K-pop Demon Hunters. And so now, because everybody likes K-pop Demon Hunters, they want to go into H Mart, but instead of being respectful and going into a Korean mart and being like, hey, wow, I'm so excited to be able to, like, get all of these new foods and, like, enjoy all of these new things. Instead, they're going into H Mart going, oh my god, why does it smell like fish in here? Why are there all these weird vegetables? I don't understand. There's, like, this one Egyptian creator that I follow, and, like, anytime anybody whines, he's like, okay, halas, right? And that's what I feel like. I'm like, literally, halas. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, chill out. Because you're making this weird for everybody, and so that's really the danger of this shit. Is the phobia resulting in a bunch of, like, unintentional, most of the time, like, cultural discrimination. So we're trying to avoid that as much as we possibly can. But yeah, Starbucks is the fucking king of gentrification. They're, like, really fucking bad about it. I'm like, I'm just gonna go over to fucking Kung Fu Tea or some shit and get like a Dubai chocolate boba or something. Like, I don't need your weird fucking Dubai chocolate ass like bad fucking smoothie thing. Oob is ponder the oob, Aba. Oh my god. I need a shirt that just says ponder the oob and then just has a purple potato on it. Like God, y'all are too much. Chips, get on that shirt. I need you I need you to get on that sticker. Ponder the fucking oob. Yeah, it's really annoying. In other words, being an American is annoying as shit. I don't know if Canada is much better. I don't know if Cal's still. Oh yeah, Cal, you're still over here. Fucking today, I don't know if you know this, but Canada or Colorado is a state. We have an official day that was started by our governor last year. So this is only today is the second annual version of this holiday. Or I guess commemorative day really is what it is. But it's a Colorado Canada Friendship Day. Is today's holiday in Colorado, by the way. It's a state level recognized like celebratory day, so we don't get the work off or anything. But our governor openly worked with an ambassador from Canada. They raised a Canadian flag in front of the Denver Capitol building. But yeah, he kind of started it to buck Donald Trump's really shitty policies toward Canada. And at the end of the day, decided that it was going to be better for us to respect Canada because like 16% of Colorado's exports go to Canada specifically. So like we rely on Canada a lot, and our governor effectively did a giant middle finger to the Trump administration and was like, well, you don't like Canada, we like Canada, and then fucking made Colorado Canada Friendship Day, and I love that for us. So happy Colorado Canada Friendship Day. Also, hi Lava. How you doing? Lava. That student wants to have a one-on-one meeting with me, Lava. And I'm scared. I'm terrified. And I'm like, if I open this meeting and this student just starts to fucking yell at me, I'm gonna have to close the meeting and just leave. Like, I'm gonna have to be like, this is between you and God, and literally just, like, not deal. Because I don't have the emotional fortitude to do this. I might not let the student meet with me until after Mercury in retrograde is done. I'm not even shitting you. Yeah, it's not popular till it's gentrified, I think is a very accurate phrase, but only explicitly for white people, right? Like, we do have to acknowledge that this is typically a colonizer problem, regardless of which country you're from, right? And there will always be people, like, I'm the kind of person who, it's super funny. The last time I was in, there's this dessert place called Mango that's near here, and they had durian ice cream with fresh frozen durian in it and red bean dessert. And I love durian. I constantly am trying to find the good durian here in the US because when we import it, it gets all fucking nasty, so it gets kind of gross. And the owner came up to me and he was like, are you sure you want durian? You know, he was like so scared because durian has a reputation for having for almost being savory. It's a savory fruit in some cases, so some people have compared its flavor, like overripe durian, to like gasoline, and it smells way more intense than it actually tastes. It's really, really good. So I ate the whole dessert, and the guy looked at me and he was like, thank you for enjoying that. And I'm like, it makes me fucking sad that you are told that your food is disgusting because people won't give it 5 fucking seconds. Like, you think that people, I don't know. So I know I've been like that my whole life. I got bullied as a white kid in school for eating sushi when I was in elementary school. Like, this was, you know, in the early 2000s. Like, people didn't know what that shit was. And I was going to, you know, my local Japanese restaurants and getting, you know, cooked sushi, things like ebi, you know, or California rolls with imitation crab, like those kinds of things to bring to school to 10th grade with me. and I was getting bullied for that shit. And if I was getting bullied for that shit as a white kid, you bet your ass that the Asian kids were getting bullied for that shit. You know, so it's really only a specific group of white people's problem, but it's a very insidious problem, and that shit bugs the literal ever-flying snot out of me. I fucking hate it so much. It literally sends me into a blind rage. Like, oh my god, I think you said it was 5 terabytes? You can hold the entire fucking planet on your hard drive. You can literally store the entirety of the globe on your hard drive. Okay, now we need a baseball bat. Let me look up a reference image. Oh, actually, 160 is actually not bad for 5 terabytes, especially with, like, how fucking computer prices have gone up, part prices, because of stupid fucking NVIDIA and stupid AI. I'm so sorry if I, like, fucking info dump on people. I recognize my brain, my neurodivergent-ass brain is a fucking database of information. And so when people ask me questions, I have a surprising wealth of knowledge on a lot of fucking topics. So I do apologize for that. I recognize I can fucking talk. But I've also been told, like, my whole fucking life that, like, nobody gives a shit about what I have to say, so I'm trying to get over that. I recognize I'm at least a fucking well-informed individual. Maybe not a smart cookie, but at least well-informed. Baseball bat. I also would like to put a big asterisk on, like, if I am talking about issues from a diaspora that I am not a part of, I say things because that is what I've heard from people within the diaspora, but I am by no means an expert on those things. I'm a very well-read and well-researched individual, and I prefer to get my information as much as I can from sources that are first-person sources. And I try and relay as much of that information as I can, mostly because I grew up in a fucking white-as-shit area that did not care about other people's feelings or respecting literally anybody around them. So, definitely a mission of mine to not let people do that shit. Okay, let me see here. I actually want to... I'm gonna tilt this baseball bat down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Then that way it can rest on his trap. That's fine. Ugh, guys, I don't want to do office hours. Lava, you'll protect me if in the office hours if that student shows up, right? Fuck. Just listen. You're like, I will fight them to the death. Holy shit. I have never had anybody address me like that. Oh my god. I'm like, I need to lay down. I'm too fucking old for this shit. Oh, hey, Melissa, what's up? AudiHD. Yeah, learning new things is my special interest. Oh my god, as from one AudiHD person to another, absolutely. Oh my god, I love learning new things, but that is very relatable. Welcome in, also. Oh, was this, Yes, it was Amazon Prime was me. Silly Billy. Cool. But yeah, welcome in. Good to see you. Hi, Tukis. Hello. How are you? Now you're like me. I can't. Yeah, we can't help who we are. I would much rather have people be educated and well informed so that they can make better decisions about people around them and not be massive jerks than like the alternative. Oh, I just heard this song recently for the first time, and this is like one of my new favorite tracks. It's so beautiful. For those of you over on YouTube, over on Twitch, we are allowed to listen to music. YouTube is a weird void of silence because if I put music on, the YouTube people will kick me off of the internet. So if you want to listen to music, I do have my Twitch open as well, and the link to that is in the description of the live. Yeah, and being like, that's a great way to think about it, I think, Ava. Being wrong, Ava said, I always aim to be wrong to an extent so I can learn, you know, and like, that is never a bad thing. Like, if you can't be wrong, you can't learn, and if you can't learn, you can't grow, you know? Oh God, Starbucks heard us over on Twitch. Oh God. we were talking crap about Starbucks being very gentrified, and now Starbucks is out for us. I can't. Well, if I haven't seen you in chat before, hello, my name is Tycho. I am an artist and author, an animation professor. I do all sorts of stuff. I make comics, write books, rant about the world. I'm a neurodivergent and LGBTQ+ creative, trying to make a more welcoming and acceptable space for marginalized authors and artists on the internet. And if you're interested in checking out any of my work, you can find all of that info if you're over on YouTube in the description of the live. I got my website down there. All my books are over there. And you can learn a little bit more about me. But if you have any questions for me about any of those things, I would be more than glad to info dump forever about all of my stuff. Okay. Let me duplicate this. And then I don't have to deal with doing that. I have to move his head. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Starbucks jumped everybody over on Twitch. I'm so sorry. We were literally talking smack about Starbucks, and then they jumped out of the bushes. They were like, hey, you want an ube matcha? It's like, no, I don't. But I totally agree with what you said, Ava. If you were trapped in ads, I 100% think that's such a great mentality to have. Yeah, true. You can't teach empathy to adults unless they recognize that they need to empathize. That is very, very true. And I think some adults can learn it, but you're right. It's like, you know, like unwriting hate from somebody's brain is a very difficult thing. I would love to know something, Carrick. Spill your knowledge upon me. Starbucks didn't get me. Lear's over there flexing their sub badge. I can't. You got to avoid the pain. Alright, so let's turn this guy's head. I'm going to turn this down. And actually, you know what? I'm just gonna turn it off for a second. We're gonna get this guy. Rotate your head, sir. It does not surprise me that Alexios was turned into a hot anime man. He's a beautiful character. I love his character design. And overall, like, I don't think that Odyssey is a bad game. It's just like that specific thing bugs the snot out of me. It makes it so hard for me to play that game. I think if I had played the game as Cassandra, I would have had a less difficult time. But boy howdy. It's physically painful. I recognize, though, that for me, as somebody who does speak, like, other languages, like, growing up in a white area where, you know, I'd go to places and order, like, extra jalapenos on my stuff, and, like, jalapeno is not even that difficult of a word to say, but, like, the area that I grew up in people, I'm not even joking, will unironically pronounce it jalapeno. And I had to deal with that as a kid. I had to physically suffer through jalapeno and tortilla, and I hurt. It physically hurts me. For anybody who's new in the stream, effectively my method for making comics to make my process faster is I make 3D models to speed up the drawing process. So if you're wondering why I'm like drawing over top of this very terrifying like naked man, it allows me to get through stylization a lot faster. I'm a one-man comic production crew, and like otherwise this would take me way too long. So I'm using the power of 3D to speed my stuff up. Oh yeah, that's kind of wild. I didn't know that. BBEG is almost always written as INTJ. That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't looked too much into that. But you're right, though. You're right. Like, because what personality type is INTJ? Architects. Yeah, because if you're referring to, like, the big bad evil guy for, like, tabletop, you're right. Or, like, I know that here in the U.S., a common trope in animation is to make them, like, not only, like, neurospicy or, like, that architect, like, INTJ archetype, but also to gay. 9 times out of 10, a Disney villain is very queer-coded just because they're evil, and I'm like, that's a weird take. And then it doesn't help that 9 times out of 10, like, they're probably right. Like, I look at Jafar, and I'm like, oh no, you were trying to, like, course correct a super corrupt, like, regime in an Indian-style country because the guy that was running the country was, like, an inept, like, old man. And, like, in the live-action remake, it's even worse because he's right. You know, and, like, it's, like, weird. Disney tried to be woke, and then they, like, ended up making the message worse, and I'm like, you guys messed up. Like, or, like, Ursula. I'm like, actually, Ursula's right. She's a drag queen, and she's right. I can't. Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I can help you set up your hard drive. Oh my god, yeah, you're like, I'm not in here to, like, protect my teacher from this rabid student. What even? Lava. I'm so scared. I had a Spanish speakers I've talked to impressed that I can pronounce the nya and roll my r's as a white person who learned Spanish. Yeah, no. People don't do that. The further from the south that you get, scary. Scary. Yeah, like, I recognize that, like, this is definitely no shade to my mother at all. Like, I love my mom, and she's a precious lady, but, like, I grew up with the cultural experience of, like, having basic phonetic words be difficult to pronounce for people, and, like, part of this is, like, my grandma's history as well. She was a white woman from South Carolina with an 8th grade education. My grandma never went to high school, okay? So that's the reality there. But she had such difficulty with phonetic pronunciation that words that are pretty common here in Colorado are like, there's a street, for example, called Uinta. It's a indigenous American word, and like my grandmother would consistently pronounce it Unitah because she like would swap letters, and so then that has resulted in my mom growing up not being able to, she couldn't for the longest time say Wukong as like the character. She would say Kukong with like a K, and like in my mind there's a difference between like I think of like Jace's Filipino mom saying things like plan, like for flan, or my family is from Florida, like, and I can't even say it correctly because I don't have the right accent, but in Tagalog there is no F, so F's become P's, and so she's from the Philippines, not the Philippines, right? And so those kinds of things are understandable, but like to some extent I'm like, white Americans are crashing out and they can't pronounce anything. And then, like, especially where I grew up, you were told, like, no, you are pronouncing it incorrectly. It's jalapeno. And you're like, what? No, I'm pretty sure it's jalapeno. Like, I'm pretty sure. And you feel like you're on, like, you literally feel like you're an alien. Like, it's insane. Insane! I don't like it. Oh my god. Colorado Springs is wild. Don't go there, guys. It's just... Or, like, nobody understands nuance. Like, oh my god, I could go on about that shit for forever. Unfortunately, it looks like I am going to have to end stream soon, though, because I do have office hours with my students, and I gotta go feed this cat, because he looks like he just got up and is now sitting on my lap very pitifully, begging for me to, go and feed him his lunchies. And he knows that I need to go and, like, shove some kind of snack in my face before office hours, but let me finish this, line art really quick for this, and then fix this. Mr. Man, you're so cute, but you're so wily. Oh my god, yeah, see, I think you're right, Melissa, you're right. It really depends on, yeah, it depends on who you are around. But yeah, definitely as somebody who has grown up in, and to clarify, this is a white majority area issue. Where a lot of the Latinos that I grew up around, and even my own family, was, like, shamed out of learning Spanish. Like, so my abuela was fluent in Spanish. My mother was told that she could never learn Spanish because my grandpa was afraid that people would be racist against her. And then, thereby, I didn't learn Spanish, right? And mostly, it was because there were so many white people around us in that particular area. So, if you live around other, like, people of color, less likely to happen to you. Like, that weird shit's less likely to happen. Colorado Springs is a fucking wasteland, though. Oh my god. Yeah, honestly, Lava, no joke. If anything gets weird, I'm just gonna literally end the call and be like, office hours are canceled. There's a problematic student that I need to deal with. Sorry, guys. Set up a private meeting with me. Like, we can figure that out somewhere else. And now I get to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that these really problematic students realize, like, what they do when they do things like this. It's like, I recognize I'm already, like, I'm neurospicy with a fucking anxiety disorder and PTSD, so already this shit is really difficult for me to handle. Because, like, I was ruminating all night. Could not sleep. Because I was thinking about this stupid fucking student. And I'm like, I don't know if people realize that, like, congrats, you just disrupted somebody's, like, days. No, this is not an AI student. If you want to hear the full my tale of woe, Cal, you can go into the Discord, into the tough stuff. I left, like, 2 voice messages in there yesterday going over what happened. But it is wild. Wild. Mr. Bubs! My cat's going rogue. I know, Mr. Bubs. I'm finishing up this guy's, Why are you yawning directly into my face, sir? Okay, am I a little bit behind on this comic now? Yes. Do I care? Not really. Maybe if I have time to do this again later today, I will. But as of right now, what we did do, though, is we finished this entire massive, stupid panel with, like, 18 people in it. So that's good. And then we got started on this page. So that works. But otherwise, I do appreciate everybody hanging out today. You all are amazing. And I'll be back on Monday to work on a review reward commission for Aqua. And then also to work on my own portfolio, too. So I will see, hopefully, everybody then if you want to pop in and do some art and hang out. And otherwise, though, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I will talk to you all soon. Oh, thank you so much for that follow, Melissa. I really appreciate that so much. Hopefully, I'll see you next time. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great weekend. See you later.